They tried to kill us, we won, let's eat. So welcome to my channel, and today I am getting back into my normal routine. We're gonna make granola, which is our family staple. We love granola, my husband and I, and even my 3-year-old loves granola. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the 12-day war we just had with Iran while I make some granola for my family. So let's get started. The first thing I like to do is just first add everything that I can add. Oats, pumpkin seeds we like. I used to add like 1/4 of a cup of everything, but now I just, whatever size it comes in, I just add it all in. Sunflower seeds and almonds, pecans, and the walnuts. I like to chop these up. I'm gonna chop them up now. Everyone likes extra walnuts and pecans, so I bought 2 boxes each. So when the war with Iran started, we realized that we don't want to stay in the Tel Aviv area. Our shelter in the building is like 3-4 flights down. So we decided to go to my parents who live further east. That way there were a lot of sirens, but the kids were able to sleep in the safe room in their house. They have one in their house. A lot of friends in Tel Aviv, their apartments don't have a safe room, and then they had to run to the public shelters, or a lot of people that live also in homes in the countryside, the older homes don't have it, so they have to go to the community shelter, which is obviously not as pleasant as having your own safe room in your own house. So I have friends that really went through crazy nights. A friend of mine, her and her husband, they're both team leads in companies. He's a VP, and just running in the middle of the night to a shelter. A good friend of mine, her apartment building in Tel Aviv had a direct hit, and her apartment was completely destroyed. Thankfully, her baby and her mom, who was by her at the time, were in the safe room. So and everyone in the building, thank God there were no casualties. The safe rooms really did help. A few other friends, if there was a hit, down the block, maybe some of their glass was shattered, but that's a different case because you could come back to your apartment, take some stuff, fix the windows, like it's fixable, but here her apartment was completely destroyed. She is grateful to be alive though. So these 12 days we were at my parents' house. The 4 kids didn't have school. There's no school in Israel, obviously, during this time. And I was also trying to work at the same time. So in a way, we're kind of used to these type of things. Corona really trained us to, be with the kids and work. And also in October 7th, we had a period with our kids and trying to work. So we kind of learned how to do this. And also, of course, October 7th, we had that shock and fear. And in here, because we had this preemptive strike, so we were kind of in a better mood. We're winning. So all this pride and wow of this amazing preemptive strike were the exact opposite of the feelings that we experienced on October 7th. But this also left us with questions like, how could it be that we're able to easily or smartly in 12 days and so quickly defeat this enemy so far away, and here on our border, Gaza, still been going on for over 600 days with hostages still there. Like, how could this be that in one way we're so successful and in another way our intelligence and everything was such a failure? My friend from work, his wife is really anxious when it comes to missiles and rockets and sirens, and she really doesn't do well. And I said, what about you? How do you do well? He said, I'm not worried at all. I said, why? You have a safe room? So he said, not the safe room. He just points. He's seemingly a secular person. He just points. I have complete confidence. He will do what he wants, and I am not worried at all, believing that everything is gonna be good, everything is good, and everything is from. Also, what I always really enjoy are these funny memes that people send around. So I want to show you some of the really funny ones. The first preemptive strike, we were able to kill a lot of the nuclear scientists, like top nuclear scientists. So then someone wrote, what a crazy blow it is to your ego to be an Iranian nuclear scientist alive right now. Like that that Israelis didn't choose to kill you means that it's a huge blow to your ego. That was funny. I missed the calm period where we only had missiles from Gaza, Lebanon, and Yemen. That's funny. The last meme I'm going to show you, this one is really cool. So, who's going to tell the home front command to update their app. They have an app that wakes you up and tells you that there's going to be a siren. It's 10 minutes away. So they said, how many missiles should I wake you up for between 1 and 20? Who shoots? Like you could, if you want only the Iran, only Houthim, what times do you want to get this? So this was hilarious. After 12 sleepless nights like this, all of a sudden, in one moment, it's over. Tomorrow, we're going back to work. We're completely regular. Schools are back to regular. My friend in Herzliya said that he walked around and he saw like parents just smiling in the streets, not because we beat Iran, but more because they had schools for their kids. But just all of a sudden, we're back to normal. And that's kind of the life of being Israeli. You're just being regular while crazy things are happening. What really helped was going to work. We were back to normal Wednesday, and I worked from home that day, but Thursday I went back to the office, and just hearing everyone in the office, how they coped, what they went through, were they at their parents' house, hearing each other's stories really helps, process what we've been through. It's not just like nothing. It was quite a big deal. So that was really nice to have friends in the office you can talk to. One of the questions that keeps getting asked again and again is this the end of the Iran-Israel war, or is this just part one? And I heard someone say that it's like a chess game where you get, the pawns and all their pieces, but then they still have the king, which is their regime. And if they're just going to go back to trying to destroy us, rebuild their nuclear weapons, definitely set them back at least a few years. But are they going to go on and quickly try to rebuild and to continue to try to extinct the nation of Israel? So these are questions that just time will tell. My 7-year-old just asked, so Ima, was there a hafsakat esh? Was there a ceasefire? Or did we win the war? And it's such an interesting question because like with kids, the ceasefire means, okay, we're going to take a break. So did we win the war? So of course they say we won, we say we won, but like, yes, we had our goals at this point are not to take down their regime, but we have had experiences in the past where we don't really, finish the job. We kind of mow the lawn, and that's pretty traumatic because we know what happened with Hamas in Gaza. We didn't take them down. We kept mowing the lawn. But time will tell if maybe people within Iran will change their regime, their intentions will be changed, and hopefully they could be that peace country that we had when Israel was first established. I am super proud of the army and everything that they've accomplished, and the pilots doing such an amazing job, and of course the US for helping us out. So the Bible teaches us a lot that a war is from some sort of spiritual thing that's going on. It's not out of nowhere. And a lot of times these wars, unite us, bring us together, make us realize who we are and our role here. So, I'm praying that we can arrive at the same point with much less devastation and less wars, and I'm hoping that this is the end to wars. We're gonna finish the job in Gaza, get our 50 hostages, 20 out of them are still alive, back home, and just start a new page with, fulfilling our destiny of being a light to the nation. I'm hoping that we will see a better future. So that's how we've been doing, and some thoughts of mine. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Shalom.